idol maker is today. I guess we also have idol makers, right? Maybe uh, what's it? Those celebrities are the idols that are being made, sort of, or ideologies, maybe even a better word for that. So in a sense,
We construct them in our own life.
yes, and his father was constructing the ideologies in a sense, because in that society, idols were being worshipped, and his father was carving those idols. In any society, some ideologies run the society. So he was pretty much the person who was one of the people who was carving that ideology for the society. So he was pretty much on the forefront for uh, establishing what Ibrahim alayhi salam in the rest of his life is going to fight against. So taking a stand in such a father must be important that in Quran that father's name is being pronounced. Like it, otherwise it could have been simply like he said to his father, but his father is being named in here as if Quran is giving some importance to that man, because we don't see that man elsewhere in Quran.
Right. Why give that detail if it's not going to mean something?
Yeah. So this person was a prominent person, not only as the father of Ibrahim alayhi salam, but also he was a prominent figure in the society for what his father, his son will end up fighting against. So taking a stand against such a father by saying, do you take idols for gods? And then criticizing, saying, indeed, I see you and your people in manifest error. I guess every child at some point confronts their parents and say that you know nothing, right? Especially at the ages of adolescence. But this is a different type of confrontation, because he's not only saying, Father, you don't know anything. He says, your people doesn't know anything either. So taking this stance seems to be important, because وَكَذَلِكَ نُرِي Ibrahim follows this. So this is how, or like this, we showed Ibrahim.
Right. So almost, can we say that in order to be given some sort of understanding, right, or some understanding of truth and meaning, I have to take this step like Ibrahim alayhi salam is taking in confronting the source of, let's say, misguided thoughts. And that can be sometimes, I mean, I'm interested to hear what you'll say about this towards myself, right? I might not say this to my own father, but I can also have a sort of self-confrontation in asking myself the ways in which I construct idols or I take idols, and the ways that in which I might be in manifest error. Is that sort of do you think that's the sort of attitude we should be taking here?
Yes, I mean, taking this attitude against myself or the ideas that I am very much into. But in addition, وَقَوْمَكَ, so and your people. So it is as if this, sometimes I follow an ideology because enough number of people around me follows it, which I feel like gives legitimacy to this idea.
And I might not even recognize it's an ideology. It's just the way we think.
It's the
my society.
Yeah, it simply becomes the norm, and it's really hard to take such a stand to say that. Actually, we are going to dwell a lot on this word "qawm" over there, because your people or your nation. Because Ibrahim alayhi salam is going to be defined as a nation by himself, but in here, Ibrahim alayhi salam is, which is going to reconstruct our understanding about what that nation means. But he is taking his father with his ideas as incorrect, saying that I see you wrong, but also this groupthink, which is wrong. And Ibrahim Assam is saying that it doesn't matter if large numbers of people follow what you're saying, because his father is the one who makes this ideology. Says, I see you in wrong, but also the followers that follow you is in wrong. It doesn't mean that 100,000 people just clapping you makes you any more correct. So as if he is able to see that more and more people supporting the wrong doesn't make it more right. So is this clear in my perception? For instance, do I feel the pressure when something which I consider to be wrong, but then Here comes Atik comes, Ilhanabi comes and says, oh, no, you're right. Does it become right for me? So Ibrahim Islam, in this case, apparently he keeps still seeing wrong as wrong, despite many people supporting the idea.
What I want to ask is, so the topic of this session is searching for one's Rabb, right?
Mhm.
So how do we connect this sort of confrontation he has with his father, with his search for a Rabb? Because this sort of statement almost seems to come from already a place of certitude, but then it's only after the confrontation with his father that the verse says, so that he might have understanding with certitude.
And actually, this was a good point that you made, because in the verses that we will see, starting with the next verse, Ibrahim Azam is searching for his Rabb. But in here, he says to his father, are you taking idols as gods, like Ilah? So apparently, either Rabb was not their main focus, and we should talk about the difference between what is Rabb, what is Ilah, but it's more like taking gods. And then he says, still, they are wrong when talking about Ilah, like God, creator. But Ibrahim Islam's search is going to be more fine-tuned in a sense. My Rabb, he's going to be searching for his Lord, which will come in a second. But yeah, that distinction is something also to keep in mind. Yeah, and as a response to his stand, he was shown Malakut of Samawat and Ard. So what is beyond or behind the scenes, in a sense, or what's the truth behind the things? And maybe a few words over there. Truth behind things means, let's say you see something happening and in the surface it just is meaningless. And I guess a Quranic example for that would be the story of Musa alayhi salam with that wise man. So the wise man is just damaging a ship. On the surface, it's just bad or meaningless of a thing, but then he explains the wisdom behind that. So when I look at this life, it sounds like it's cruel, because all the beautiful things, they get old and they die. So what's good about that? Why are we in here in the first place with all those desires for eternity? And I'm just going to be tossed away into a pit after 60, 70 years of life at most, and I will decay. So it sounds very cruel, as if you better not make me taste it in the first place. But Malakut as-Samawati wal Ard is to show what they mean, what is behind the scenes, what all these things mean. It's pretty much like, what was the purpose of that? It means something else. It's not, the story doesn't end there. It's just the beginning, sort of. So this taking that initial stand makes me open to receive those truth behind it. If I am content with what my society tells me, what my father tells me, and father in here is just referring to what I kept hearing from the previous nations. If I'm content with that, I'm not open to listening to anything.
Right. So in order to receive the inner truth and dominions of the heavens and earth, right, then one has to be somewhat in a state of questioning, in a state of searching, right? At least being able to recognize what can't be true, and being open to receiving, as you said, what has the possibility of having the significance of truth and reality.
Yes. And from there on, his journey now starts, because it's sort of opened the doors, but the answers were not immediately given. And as we will see, Ibrahim Islam went through a search. So this is again from same Surah Al-An'am, the 6th chapter, verse number 76. فلما جن عليه الليل رأى كوكبا قال هذا ربي فلما أفل قال لا أحب الآفلين. When the night covered him over, he saw a star. He said, this is my Lord. But as it said soon, right after immediately it sets, he said, I love not those that set. This is overall a super interesting verse, right? So
maybe we can start with your first highlighted part, right? Hada Rabbi.
yeah,
and-
my Lord.
Right.
So what is it that I am searching? Because in the previous one, do you take idols as gods? So what's the connotation of Rab here, right? So how is it different than Ilah? Because Ilah is, it's a more general term as we understand it, some superpower. This is, I guess, generally how we will say, what is God? If we ask it, we will say, well, the one that created me. But what do I mean by creation? Well, I mean like the one who created my parents. Well, actually, the one who created my parents' parents. Well, actually, the one who just made the Big Bang. Like this sort of, it's a little bit of a distant idea, generally speaking, although it does not necessarily need to be. But this is how it's being understood. But when it comes to Rab is more like, I am being taken care of right now. So who is taking care of me? Because when it comes to Ilah, I can also say, like, Ilah created everything. And just I am one person benefiting on the side. Like, for example, you give a banquet to people, and this poor person also comes and joins. I don't know who he is, but from the side, he comes and joins the dinner and goes away. I don't know him, he don't know me, but he just benefits. So in here, although I am his host and he is my guest, I don't know him, he don't know me, sort of a thing. But in here, when he says my Rab or Rabbi, so there's this emphasis that I'm not searching for his Lord, that person's Lord, your Lord. I am searching for my Lord. Like I am very much concerned about who is gifting me 24/7.
So then, if we look at this verse, right, that's telling, kind of setting the scene for us with Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he says, this is my Lord, or, Hada Rabbi, he's not, the significance of my there is showing that he's not necessarily looking for, like, oh, who created all of this? Just that, perhaps, but who is the one that can provide me with sustenance at this moment, right? Who can provide me, fulfill all my needs right now? Who can give me a point of support, give me some sort of security in my existence, if you will, like a creator or a Rabb that is very much relevant to all aspects of my life, every event that I experience, all moments that I partake in. There's a sort of immediate day relevance of it. Like I want a one who can resolve the issues that I'm facing, the ones that I'm sort of stressed about in the background of my head. Maybe now during Thanksgiving break, I've kind of put them to the side, but come Monday, they're going to be at the forefront. I want a Rabb who can provide me guidance on that path, if you will. And so there's that, I guess, the significance of my Lord here. What I'm taking from also what you're saying is that that's sort of, again, like immediate relevance of it, right? It's not just sort of like this distanced, let me discover some sort of theoretical truth, but like a truth that is going to impact how I live my life, how I make choices, if you will.
And especially in today's world, I mean, if I'm going to take it the way how my search has been going, let's say, so I'm living in a world in which the idea of God is being just, or even not, because it's already annihilated. So when we look at not only for Islam, but in general for religion or the idea of God, people of God, what do? Even they're called apologetics, because we are trying to prove existence of a God. So this is different than finding my Lord, because I'm talking about existence of a God who does everything. Still, it's a distant thing, and as if somebody is attacking me, and now I am coming out with a counter argument. So this is being the thing. But Ibrahim salam's search in here is so much near to himself, I would say. And it is more of a very self-conscious person, as you were highlighting. I am needy, yet I am being maintained. All those needs are being provided. And I have an infinite need of a life that I don't want to die, or Monday is another nearer obstacle right in front of me. So someone should be maintaining me. Who is that? Whom can I rely on, actually? Because what is it that we generally rely on? It's being either, I say, well, maybe I should get this degree rather than that degree because this degree is going to pay me better once I graduate. Something that we are in search for reliance on, right? Or I say, well, my father, I should keep my relations good with him because he's a wealthy person. Or that friend is more useful than that friend because he is having a higher rank in the society. So, I mean, that person, this other friend, yeah, I'm not going to benefit too much from him. So it's okay, just keep the ties. With the other one, try to preserve it good. Like these are all sorts of our search for Rabb in practice, actually.
Yeah.
But Ibrahim alayhi salam's search for Rabb here is like looking for someone who can maintain me, whom I can rely on.
And just to add, like the verse is when the night covered him, right?
Mhm.
And there are many moments in my life when I feel the night cover me,
Mhm.
when there's this sense of this shroud of darkness, or I feel the need for help or the need for support. And as you said, I am in fact in practice of what Ibrahim alayhi salam is doing. I'm kind of looking around saying,
Mhm.
can this be my Rabb? Can this be my Rabb? Can my boss be my Rabb? Can my parent be my Rabb?
Mhm.
Can, X, Y, and Z be my Rabb? So this is in fact like not something that we might say Ibrahim alayhi salam, did and then found God, and alhamdulillah, we're born Muslim, we come from a Muslim family, so we already believe in a creator, we're done, enough relevance. But in fact, this is the sort of reality that I face in my life, because there's always something going on, and there's always some sort of situation that I'm trying to resolve or trying to make sense of. And within that process, I am looking, in fact, for a one who can give me a sense of security, who can give me a sense of support, or maybe provide me with some guidance, right?
Mhm.
And so there are many sort of stars in our lives that we might latch onto and call it up.
Mhm.
And that kind of, I guess,
We-
shows how
Yeah,
this is what we're doing.
in terms of guidance, actually, stars is a good metaphor for that because in the darkness, according to stars, I navigate, right? And yes, in the times of darkness, which we always find ourselves in a certain way of darkness. Nowadays, it's recession economically. How am I going to save my money? So if a good investor comes and says, put your money there, I'm going to say, oh, this guy's
I see
expert.
that as my Rabb.
Yeah,
right?
it's going to be my maintainer, my security, source of security for my financials.
Yeah.
So
Or this grant or that scholarship.
that
or,
scholarship,
that
that
job.
title, that job, or like in family, children, spouse, everywhere. We are looking for someone who can maintain it. And we are distributing it because stars is a good example for that because multiple stars. And I'm saying I'll find some guidance from here, some guidance from there. And I can partially find them. But Ibrahim alayhi salam's observation here was super important. فلما أفل, so this, because very soon it's going to set right after, as if this affair over there is saying that, and whenever right after it sets, which is the case. So you rely on a certain person, certain whatever resource, and there's no personal resource which stayed there forever. Like sooner or later, it's going to set. It's going to just die away. Then his response is very interesting here. قال لا أحب الآفلين. I do not like those that set, which is, I mean, this is interesting to me, maybe because I am misguided in the sense of my search, Rabbi, because like when I'm searching my creator, I was more, at least the way I was conditioned, I would be looking more for like some intellectual proof, like this cannot happen at the same time, therefore God must exist, sort of a thing. But in here, Ibrahim alayhi salam is saying that I don't like it. Like, how is that, if you like, an indicator to turn away from something as my potential robber? This was interesting for me. So let me ask you then, what do you think about this La uhibbul afilin portion? Like this, like, dislike.
I think in one sense, you know, this is like a very human process, right? Because when he sees the star, he doesn't say, "Oh no, this can't also be my Rabb." He doesn't accept it. He says, "This is my Lord," and I think it's only after it kind of gives him a sense of disappointment or the lacking of that support that he needs that he's able to turn away from it and say, "Oh, like this is not fulfilling the need that I thought it was going to." And I think that's a very human process because I also go through this, right? I say, "Oh, this job, title, person, whatever, can be a point of security for me." And then through one way or another, I experience the ways in which what I need is absent in a sort of comprehensive way. And I think it's interesting, as you highlighted, that he says, "I love not those that set," right? Because he's not saying, therefore, my deduction is that this is logically impossible, right? Like these are mutually exclusive, of course, but there's a very real human emotion there, human feeling, human quality of, I don't love this. This is not what my heart is in need of. This is not fulfilling the needs that I feel within me. And so it seems like a much more sort of comprehensive, what's the word for it? Comprehensive signposting coming from himself, from his observation of himself. That's
because this is how the search started, right? There was this feeling of insecurity and endless needs, and I was looking for someone who can fulfill this, satisfy this, and now I'm clinging to someone who is going to supposedly fix this need or issue, and then the thing that I clinged on is also setting. It feels like as if I am in the water, I am drowning, and there was a wood piece that was floating. I just cling on the thing, and then it keeps sinking with me. So it's such a disappointing moment because now the thing that was supposed to save me is also sinking with me. So it's no use of me. So then I throw it away. I don't like this. This doesn't work. And it's really highlighting a point that this FLA part, when it's set, and it will come in the next two verses as well, everything in this existence is setting. It's just going away, disappearing like I am myself. And the things that disappear with me is of no use for me, for my purposes of satisfying my needs. It's not really helping in any regards.
Yeah. Just one moment. Yeah, and I think, you know, I love not those that set. It's also, I think, showing this sense of and maybe we'll get to this in the next slide. It's not the sort of like the need that he's feeling here is not some sort of like again, like an equation, a missing part of the equation that he's seeing is missing. It's not sort of this theoretical conceptual need, but it's my need, it's his need. It's very close to home, right? It's very sort of intertwined with his present moment, with his present state.
Yes.
And I guess that's also important, like how our states of beings can be a means of guidance in terms of showing what we're searching for and what can really fulfill it.
And this is why actually that statement, that example with water was one of our scholars was giving that example, saying that the prayer that you will make at that moment, like in the darkness, your ship is wrecked. So you are in the ocean in the middle of dark, and you're just clinging on a single piece of wood. You don't see anything. So the type of prayer you will make at that moment is like that sincere prayer. So I think this is the search that's going on there. So I am in that sea. I'm about to get drowned, and just imagine how you would or I would make that supplication right there. And when this piece of wood comes and I feel like it's going to save me, and it starts sinking, how angry actually I will be with that wood, because it gave me a false hope that it's going to save me initially. But then once I realize that it's not helping me at all, I'll just throw it away and say that I don't like love those. That's sad, because it's not helping me. It cannot even help itself. It's sinking itself. How can it help me? So
it's a very experiential moment.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's very near. It's very real. It's not like I'm finding the creator for something else or proving it to somebody. It's very personal, very close to myself, not distant. So these are the two other verses that Ibrahim Assam's journey continues. Like, let's briefly go through them as well. This is again from Surah Al-An'am, verses number 77 and 78. فَلَمَّا رَأَى الْقَمَرَ بَازِغًا قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي. When he saw the moon rising in splendor, he said, this is my Lord. فَلَمَّا أَفَلَ قَالَ لَئِن لَمْ يَهْدِنِي رَبِّي لَأَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الضَّالِّينَ. But when the moon sets, and again, this is right after, very soon, the moon sets as well, he said, unless my Lord guide me, I shall surely be among those who go astray. And then the next verse, فَلَمَّا رَأَى الشَّمْسَ بَازِغَةً قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي هَذَا أَكْبَرُ. When he saw the sun rising in splendor, he said, this is my Lord. This is the greatest. فَلَمَّا أَفَلَتْ قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ إِنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِّمَّا تُشْرِكُونَ. But when the sun set, he said, oh, my people, I am indeed free from your giving partners to Allah. Or I am away from what you ascribe as partners. So like in here, I guess the basic two observations is we are, once the star sets and I experience this, I say that I love not those that set, but then something more promising comes, something like a moon, which generally in my life, if I think about it, if it was just another star, I wouldn't even consider it. I would say that, well, I know stars doesn't work. But this time moon comes up. It's a new and more glamorous thing. So, and in my personal life, I say, well, maybe, at least a maybe right there comes in, right? And apparently this is what is being depicted here. Yeah, I got my lesson from stars, but here's a better option, seemingly better option. But no matter what its size is, it is setting again. So this is the common thing among them, because my needs are not about size, because eventually the largest sun will come. It is the largest, but no matter how large they are, as long as they are temporary, they are the same. Let it be a small star, let it be a giant sun, they are
the same reality.
The same reality. They are being multiplied by zero, which is temporality. They go away. And my needs are not going away. So this is where, actually, this is a way that Ibrahim alayhi salam finds security, or protected himself from this misguidance, because qawm ad-dallin, this is how I am getting misguided, honestly, personally speaking. I feel like, yeah, I know, and I had some experience of being misguided by, let's say, XYZ type of, let's say, people. But then a new phase opens in my life in which, oh, now it is a matter of money or it's a matter of title, or it's something new, a new type of source of security, supposedly. And I fell for it. I don't realize that actually they share the same weak point, which is they decay, they set.
Can you give us an example?
To give us an example, okay. So initially, let's say you say, well, I was relying on my parents, and I realized that it doesn't work. And then you say, oh, at a young age, I learned not to trust people. Maybe you have heard something like that. So it's like a star in my life. I relied on people. Then you say, well, after 5 experience with 5 different people that I relied on so much, I say, well, never trust people. Don't go with that. Okay. What do I do next? I say, well, get into investment banking, earn a lot of money. Just a new word that I heard nowadays. So get into investment banking, earn a lot of money, and because as we were mentioning yesterday, like in YouTube, I saw this house, this mansion, $50 million house, sounds so cool. Like then I ran into such a path. And in that environment, there's a different social circle, and world is a little different in there. Initially, which gives you a false sense of security. You feel like, oh, those old type of people or the old environment, it really sucked. But this new one, apparently it's giving me the satisfaction I'm looking for. And again, I fall for it.
And maybe I think it might be useful to kind of just talk a little bit about what we mean when we say looking for a point of security or a point of support, someone to some source to fulfill my needs. Like, what does that mean in one sense? Because the kind of support or security I'm looking for is at one level like existence based, right? Like every day, I can't help it. I am slowly becoming older and older, inching towards death, right? Yesterday's day has already died. I have the need for meaningfulness in my life, right? To understand, to try to make meaning out of or find meaning within the multitude of experiences that I undergo, or the multitude of difficulties that I undergo. I want to understand the meaning of their existence in one respect, right? So that I can find a sense of contentment in my life. I guess that's sort of what we're really pursuing in our pursuit of certain careers, in our pursuit of certain relationships. We're looking for a sense of happiness or a sense of meaningfulness in our lives that is also like not going to come to an end. Not just of this day, but also like on a smaller scale, right? But also on this larger scale of my life and my existence. And well, I know I asked you the question, but I guess I'm sort of opening it up. But that's kind of, and you can add on to the sort of sense of what I might mean by sense of security, right? And this encompasses all of it. It can include financial security. It can include wanting to be loved and valued, right? It can include all sorts of different things, but that I need a source that is, in one sense, absolute. It's not going to end. It's not going to come to a stop. It's not going to be insufficient, deficient in any way.
Yeah. And this was also very important point in regards to being loved, being appreciated. Because if, let's say, I'm trying to be loved and appreciated in terms of being financially successful, if somehow I become upset in there because either I'm trying to build up a wealth which is going to protect me, then I also need to protect the wealth. So who's protecting whom? So maybe I'm going to get upset there eventually. But then I say, well, it's all about family. Just let me form a small family where we are mutually loving each other and whatnot. This is being another son, let's say, in this case, in my life. And I am saying that, well, money was wrong, or humans were wrong, but it's all about like spouse.
Family is all you need.
Yeah, it's all family. Forget about the rest. What will leave back to you is family. But then you realize that it's not, as I look at it from that perspective, because Ibrahim alayhi salam went through this process, but then the truth of things were shown to him. So what we are talking about here is I'm looking at them at the face value. I'm looking at them in the way that they die. So family dies, wealth dies, parents die, but their truth does not die. So Ibrahim alayhi salam was having this issue with the dying aspect of things. But to see the meaning behind them, first I need to have a unease with the dying aspect. So there's an aspect in familial relationship in which it dies. Like I'm getting old, like children are growing up, they are not as cute as they used to be. Like things are changing, constantly changing. So what is it that I really build things up on? So this is all, I guess the common point is FNF. So they set, and they set very soon. I mean, the wording in there is very beautiful, and it's right after he said that he took it as a potential provider. They set, and this is how it is happening. Right at the time you say, "Oh, I can rely on this. I can rely on that person, that job, that family member, and whatnot." Then, and you can actually practice this or experience this in your life. Things start going south right there, and it's a mercy of the creator actually to say that it's a learning opportunity. So do you really think like it's going to satisfy you, give you the security that you're searching for? Then this setting is there, and Ibrahim Assam reads this set correctly, says, no, I'm turning away. Inni bari'un mimma tushrikun. Actually identifying this as shirk is important. Because when we use the word ascribing partners or shirk, what comes to our mind generally is idols. And there's no idols. I mean, in America, who worships idols, right? I mean, forget about any Muslim country, even in a Christian country or in some other country, nobody goes and just reveres to idols. But taking others as my Rabb, taking things that set as my Rabb is ascribing partnership to the Creator. So by experiencing this, Ibrahim Alayhi is teaching us actually things those that set, they cannot be even partially helping me. Because I might feel like, oh yeah, I will benefit from the stars and also from the moon, partially from the sun, but none of them, like even if I have 100 woods that I'm in the sea right now, but all of them are sinking. Having more of them doesn't help me at all. I need something reliable which is going to save me from that water. So, but that thing should be not in need of being saved himself.
Right.
So this is why I guess the common point here is ascribing. This all boils down to ascribing partners, and it hurts me. Like it's not like, oh yeah, if you have ascribed partners, you will burn in hell, so you better not touch them. But it's more like, well, I mean, if you ascribe partners, which is relying on things that set,
I face that disappointment.
I mean, you're going to drown, and you experience this in your life. So I mean, do it at your own risk. Right.
And I think just the fact that first he goes to the star, then the moon, then the sun, like it's not just a sort of one-time instance of he thought the star was his Rabb, and then after that he found his actual Rabb, right? No, he keeps repeating the same mistake. Yes. In one sense. And I keep repeating the same mistake in my life as well, right? That's a very human thing. Like we might latch onto something as one source of contentment, one source of value, security. And then once we recognize that thing itself is dependent, needy, deficient, I can say, oh, okay, like I'm just, it can't provide that. It's my, I have to seek it from my creator, from my actual sustainer. But then I make that same mistake again. Maybe my life circumstance just changes slightly. The context changes slightly. I'm constantly in that state of calling things my Rabb, and then being recognized or being shown the reality that no, this thing itself is created. Its reality is that of being just as impoverished as I am. And I think it's sort of cultivating an awareness of what does it mean for something to be my Rabb, right? So that after hopefully the sun that I call my Rabb, I can stop that. I can try to cultivate that consciousness of what
Yes.
I need in a Rabb.
Can I ask questions now, or should we wait until? There are
That's
some questions.
I think we could, yeah. Okay, yeah.
I feel like when he's looking for my Rabb, he's looking for happiness. Because right at the beginning, he doesn't know he has a creator. He's looking to be happy. And I'm looking at myself. My parents raised me and they told me, oh, you got to go to school because then you will be educated and you will be happy. So I went to college, and then right after I finished college, so right when I get there, that's my little star. Well, that's not happening. Then I realized I put myself a harder set threshold, like moon, bigger. Well, then I have to go to graduate school. So I struggle. But then I give myself a lot more time. So I'm struggling all this time, 5, 6 years. So the moon is rising, and then I graduate. Well, that's not happening. I'm not. Like I felt that I graduated from my grad school, and I was like, so what? Like, what's next now? Happiness is not coming again. I set myself even a harder goal. Let's do a postdoc. And then you'll find like a great project. You'll find some great inventions, discover something so new. So I'm setting myself even a harder goal to reach. That's my son. And since I'm not getting there, I'm struggling all these years, hoping that I will be happy. I'm conditioning myself like I'm going to be happy when I get there. So I spent 6, 7 years, and then I realized it's all disappointment. Even though you struggle, you get there, you find something, it's not bringing happiness. I feel like that's what he's trying to do here, like setting yourself even a harder goal. And that's part of this culture I keep seeing here, like what's next? What's next? There's no time to stop. Okay, then after I finish that, oh, I should have been a faculty. Maybe then I would have been happy. So you struggle even harder, or you change a career, right? Then
investment
you
bank.
want to become an investment banker. Then you go to another school for another 4 or 5 years, and you realize you can't find a job, or you find a job and it's so stressful, you're not even happy. So your son also sits. I feel like he's looking for happiness, and at the end of happiness, he realizes whatever he imagines once he gets there does not bring him happiness. So nothing in this world can bring me happiness. I feel like this is the journey in my mind.
Thank you. Thank you
He's
for
not exactly looking for existence yet. He's looking for happiness. I was looking for happiness, and I realized none of this would bring me happiness. Then I was happy because I realized that someone else. That's all you guys are describing me, reminding me of my life.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you. No, thank you for sharing that. And I think, you know, these verses, if they are to be guidance from me, right, from my creator, from my Rabb, then in one sense they do end up becoming a reflection of my life. And I just want to add, since we do have grad students today in the room, not to be discouraging to ourselves who are trying to finish our PhDs and whatnot, but I guess it's precisely about do I see something, whether that's a goal in my life or something or milestone in my life, as the thing to get me happiness, right? It's about the sort of like mindset or worldview that I'm adopting in that process. Because I can go through that same event and try not to fall into that, even though it's extremely difficult, right?
You can go through the same event. At the same event, while you're going through, you recognize how God is creating, then it becomes your happiness, forever happiness. Like at grad school, I thought I was becoming an atheist because I was like, the more biology you learn, the more I realized causality is the source of everything. Until I learned that you just change the way you look at it. It's like nothing can take you to the next step, then it becomes your forever happiness. Then you go to grad school, it actually makes it even more exciting. You learn more details about, I don't know, cell biology, I don't know, if you're physics, molecular biology. I was in molecular biology. You learn DNA, and then everybody tells you DNA is the source of your life. And then you look at DNA, it cannot even sustain itself. Then you realize, oh, this has to be sustained. Then everything else, step by step, you realize, oh, that has to be sustained. The cell has to be sustained by the body. Body has to be sustained by the environment. The environment has to be sustained by something else. Then, oh, I am being sustained. Alhamdulillah. Then the grad school or whatever you learn becomes your forever happiness. Because the more you learn, the more you prostrate in this sense.
So yes, then inshallah we can move on to the next verse after these three stages. This is, I guess, the realization that Ilhan Abi was also mentioning. After these three, and Ibrahim As-Salam said, I am turning away from, or I am away, or I am distant from what you do, he said to his people. But what does he do? He says, Inni wajjahtu wajhiya lilladhi fatara as-samawati wal arda hanifan wa ma ana min al-mushrikeen. Indeed, I have set my face, or turned my face, firmly and truly towards him who created the heavens and the earth. And never shall I give partners to him. I'm not going to be among the those who ascribe partners. So this inni wajjahtu wajhiya part. So I'm turning my face towards, because to take guidance from sun, to take guidance from moon, or like stars, I turn towards them because I'm hopeful that I'll get something out of them. Like if I'm going to get a promotion, I'm turning my face towards my boss and trying to be kind and nice to that person. Or if I'm expecting some favor from like a family member or someone, I'm turning towards them and trying to be in good terms with them. But Ibrahim as-Salam, in his journey, he realized that all of them are setting. So it's not worthy. They are not worthy to be asked from. They are not worthy to be begged from. So whom do I turn towards? So turning away from those things, but firmly and truly. Just Hanifan in here is, and we are going to keep seeing this word because it is, maybe you might have heard this as the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam, like Hanif. And it's even like a terminological word that's used for Prophet ﷺ. Before prophethood came to him, he was following religion of Hanif. So it literally become the name of a religion that Ibrahim alayhi. But what it means is purely, firmly, and truly, only to Allah. No partners. It's actually it's perfect tawheed. So, but how this sentence is really expressing what that means. I am turning my face away from anything else, but only towards the one. But who is that one? This was a very beautiful description. So he doesn't use the word Allah here. He doesn't use any other word, but he says, the one who created the heavens and the earth. So because I do observe that the moon, the sun, the star, they're all being maintained. So, but they themselves are not able to maintain themselves. And I am in need of someone who is maintaining everything plus me, who can fulfill me. So this is a very beautiful description of, or getting to know my Rabb and my creator in this case. Because this is saying that my Rabb is the Rabb of everything, and we are constantly surrounded by him. So this is so close of a description of the creator. It's not saying like creator once upon a time created the creation and set it and now it's working, but it's more like samawati wal ard, whatever I observe, whatever is behind them, everything, the maker of those, I'm turning my face towards him. I'm not turning my face towards ard. I'm not facing like the things themselves. I'm not turning my face towards anything, but the one who is behind all these, the one who makes all these things work. I'm turning my face towards him.
So what does that mean for us? Like, is it just that I make that intention? And because we're talking about like the path of Ibrahim alayhi salam so far through the verses we've read has very sort of practical reflections in our own life, right? And sort of the almost habits that we have as human beings as well. And so I'm trying to think of how this also then can practically reflect into our life.
So I feel like this is very personally adjustable thing. So as I will speak, just try to think it as if how you would do it. Don't listen to it as, oh, Yusuf does it and explains it as such, but I know that he does not, sort of a thing. Don't take it as such. How this could be, I imagine, is, let's say, still I'm going to drink this tea because my voice is starting to crack, and I'm going to be seeking help, in a sense, from this tea to fix my voice. Or in life, I am saying that, oh, the economy is going this way, so maybe I shall take that job. So these sort of things are part of the life that I'm living in. But when I get into interaction with this water, or with my job, with my environment, what is my idea? Am I seeking the satisfaction or fixing of the problem from the thing themselves? Or do I feel like this water is not really going to solve my issues, but the giver of this cracked voice, through drinking this water, I am interacting with him. So I am connecting to him through drinking water. It's not like I'm drinking water because water is a good thing and it's good for my health. So this is a very, I mean, if I can manage doing this, is a very active way of being in constant interaction with my creator. Because turning towards water versus turning towards maker of water is a big difference. So how to give an example with that? Would you like to help?
Thinking, but
Okay. So
like to me, my voice is cracked. So
okay.
So the easy moments that I can think of is the moments of darkness. Like when something bad happens in my life, I can take it as things going bad and I'm trying to resolve it, and usually I fail. Or I can turn my face to my creator. And the first step, I guess, like we usually take such steps, like we don't give their due, we don't give their importance, which is realizing that you are failing, or you realizing that there's something your son, in this case it's yourself, that because you are trying to solve it, you are set, right? Just realizing that, I guess it's a big important step, that you cannot handle it, and you're looking for someone to handle it. You already start turning, and I guess where you turn is the one who can resolve your problem. And this is how you define your Rabb. Like for you, for instance, your Rabb is the one who can solve this problem in front of you. There's a fight within your family, and you don't know what to do. And if your Rabb is the one who can resolve this fight, then you will turn your face to that Rabb, whatever this Rabb is.
I think, like, practically talking about this would be that even when I try to resolve the issue in the family, let's say, yeah, I'm taking this or that measures to resolve the issue and whatnot. But do I have the urgency? Because we will again see in the rest of the presentations today, Ibrahim alayhi salam takes prayer so central because he's going to build Kaaba, and we are turning towards Kaaba to do that prayer. And we will see that he's specifically emphasizing on prayer. So when I am seeing that relationship that's breaking apart, so how do I take it? Do I take it as, oh, this person is messing up with me? Or do I take it as something is failing or setting in here, but this is purposefully made as such by my maker? So even opening my hands and asking from him is, I would say, a very strong way, or maybe that should be the beginning point of turning towards my Rabb. Because seeing it as part of my education, because Rabb means who is maintaining me, this cracking voice or this cracking family or this cracking job or whatever is going wrong, let's say, in my life, because this is generally when we remember our Rabb, right? Is part of my maintenance, actually. It's not that things are getting out of control. Actually, within control, things are going south. My maker intentionally makes this voice crack. My maker intentionally make this family crumble, or this family issue that I go through. Then I need to turn by opening my hands. It's a very good reminder for myself in the first place to say that I don't know how to handle this. And I know that this you make so that I learn something, and I am not declaring that I am not capable of resolving that issue. I reached that realization. So my will power is not enough. My convincing qualities is not enough. Like my reasoning is not enough to convince what's going on in here. It's just I'm out of all the cards. I played all the cards. It's not working. And I confirm this. So this realization is turning away from everything. That state is turning away from everything. And turning towards my creator is saying that you maintain everything. So please, you take care of that. Because I also need to see that things are being maintained by him, yet whatever I touch, it gets dry, as if my hand is this just annihilating hand. Whatever I thought I would be able to take to my hand and it's going to become a useful tool to fight against, it just break up. So I realized, okay, I'm not touching anything. And I'm turning towards you, my creator, the one who takes care of everything perfectly. Please resolve that issue.
I guess the question then, how about your uncle? Maybe you should call him and he would resolve your problem. Or how about your, the very wise psychologist friend? Maybe she would resolve the issue. So interesting, the ayah says, Allah doesn't, speak of generic terms. Of course, it doesn't say, I turn my face to the powerful one or, the most wise one, whatever. It says specifically the Fatara Samawati wal Ard, that whoever created the situation, whoever designed not only creation, like the Fatara, giving all the shape, how it looks like, how it will happen, and so on, all these tiny details. Whoever designed this thing, I'm facing my face to that person or that thing. Otherwise, whomever I return would be futile. Like we studied in the first ayah. They will set as well. They cannot even help themselves, like how they can help me. I guess seeing this, I would call it as the most logical thing. Whoever designed this, whoever created things, you should ask him or it. Of course, if you think that the things happen by themselves, all these atoms or all these things are in play together, the billions of different things, then you are the miserable chaos. And you have to convince all of them at once or ask their help at once.
Could it also be that he's especially saying heavens and earth, like, look around, everything is done. Like we are now in almost winter, all the leaves are fallen. No matter what you do, they won't stay green. They will die. And you try to keep them green, like they will be cancerous and they will die. So there is no way you can stop it. So look around, nothing can sustain itself. I think at this point he realizes nothing can sustain itself. Then there has to be something else who will sustain everything. Then that is him I am turning.
And this turning towards internally, and this is, inshallah, we will keep talking more about that, but that supplication, that prayer is so important in this regard, that really solves a huge portion of my problems. Even if the physical problem does not get resolved, the bigger problem is this mental problem, or the burden in my heart is the bigger burden, really. The burden in my heart is bigger than the physical burden that I'm going through. And this is really solving that issue, because it's saying, this is now making me realize where the problem was. The problem was on relying on things themselves. This is where the burden was coming from. So turning my face away from those false hopes and turning my face to the true source really saves me from a lot of unnecessary burden. Because if I was hoping that Birkan is going to give me $100,000, and then Atik is going to give me another 50,000, and Ilhana will give me 200,000. Now, like, my hopes are so much distributed, and I'm begging from every single one of them. And like, probably all of them are in need of that much money in the first place for themselves. Then realizing that, oh no, those money will never come. I am saving myself from a burden of this false hope in the first place. Like, it's not going to work. But then turning my face true, Hanif, and like firmly and truly towards the one who creates heavens and earth, now it's fixing that problem. Like getting rid of this extra burden, plus now it fixes the issue. So that
So
was the first part.
Yeah, I think our time is slowly coming to an end, right?
Yes.
We did start a bit later, but I think we can still try to end perhaps a little on time. But if anyone has any further comments or questions at this point, we can maybe,
Are you planning to go through the second part as well?
I don't,
Like, based on that, I will comment on it.
Okay, so the prayer will be at 1:05. So if we can give, I don't know, 15 minutes of time for wudu, should it suffice? What do you think?
I think we should try to end on time for
Okay.
this session.
Okay. So then you can make your comments, imagining we are not going there.
Okay, so my first comment is about this very first part, like la ihubbu. I don't like. So, like, what we mean with I don't like? That's the question. It sounds very, especially as you, both of you said at the very beginning, in our age, in our times, like the words like I like, I don't like, according to me, according to you, and so on and so forth, they sound very almost childish. Right? This is not the way we progress. This is not the way we advance. Who cares about what Atik likes or not? Right? I don't even care. Yeah. So, the most important thing is what is truth, we say, whatever it is, or what is the fact. Like we talk about these concepts. But when we study the verses in its all these ayahs together and the way you explain them, I think it is obvious that when we say la uhibbu, I don't like, it means like it doesn't help me, it doesn't work, it doesn't satisfy my needs, it cannot answer my questions, and I cannot worship. We will come this part, like we keep talking about the worshiping or prayer and so on. But I think it's not something external, because if you like something, the worship is already there. But anyway, let's keep this out of the equation for now. Seeing all these things, actually looking at the facts, like no matter how fancy equations you put in front of them about something, when I try it, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's so easy, right? That's, what happens when you have this engineering background. Like when you publish in engineering, every published paper has something fancy mathematics in it. As if, when you read any paper, you say that, oh, I have to believe it, like it's so fancy. Like look at the mathematics. And then you look at the results, the test results, and you see that they don't work. So there must be something, it looks fancy, but it's obvious that, there was some bad assumptions or, maybe improper use of this fancy mathematics. I don't care. I don't even have to know about it. All I need to say that it's not working. I don't care about your fancy mathematics. And when I say it's not working, it's not childish. It's becoming realistic. It's becoming real. It's becoming logical. It's becoming, whatever you want to say. So what is childish in this example, for instance, just because there's a fancy mathematics there, claiming that it must be true. So what is not being childish is looking at the facts, whether it is working or not. So in our story, for instance, there is a need that I will either worship all these 1,000 things that they cannot even help themselves, including myself, right? Because the obvious, let's say, childish answer would be, oh, well, you don't have to worship anything, like you can live by yourself, which means worshiping yourself. And which sets easily as well. Or you will turn your face to the Fatira Samawati wal Ard. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, in our example, says that the second one makes more sense. It works. It helps me. It satisfies my needs. It gives me the answers. It gives me the solution. So this is what I understand from your discussion, that La yuhibbu means. All the others are just waste of time. But this one, the Fatir Samawati wal Ard, I like it. It fits. It is what I need. It answers.
Inshallah, on that note, let's conclude the first session. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you.
سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. So next session starts at okay, so inshallah Juma will be here at 1 p.m. So take wudu, prepare for that. So we will start khutbah around 1:05 or 1:10 the latest.